Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everybody? I'll tell you what's going on. Gary Gensler's Unholy Alliance with FTX. That is what is going on as he goes on his rampage, Chip. Rampage against the cryptocurrency industry. He's going unchecked, unshackled, and this guy is out of his mind. Ripple's going to win. That's what's going to happen. And Congress for clarity. Chip, goodbye, Daddy G.
Daddy G is going down, and it was his own fault. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome
to
On the Chain.
Didn't we already say that welcome part? Did we already do that part, Jeff? I don't know if we did already.
To On the Chain.
I don't know if we did already, but hey, man, glad you guys are joining us here today on a Saturday. Maybe it's your morning, your afternoon, your evening, whatever. But if you enjoy the content we're putting out, really appreciate your support. You can hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you always, I won't say always, but sometimes you get a notification so you don't miss a live stream. So I know we got some notifications going out today. And if you're even feeling a little extra generous, sending a super chat or subscribing to the channel certainly helps us out. And we really appreciate that. Or you can go to our website as well, onthechain.io, and you can support us there as well. But the best way you can support us is just by sharing our content, going out there on Twitter or Facebook, wherever you might see it, and sharing that. It really helps keep the channel going, and we can't thank you enough. So thanks in advance. And drop with a city and state.
Good night.
That's it, Jeff. That's the show.
That's the show.
That's all of it. And then just all you have to do is drop the city and the country. We'll flash it on the screen as we get started through this. But Jeff, there's a lot going on. I mean, I'm actually convinced at this point, Gary Gensler, it's so funny because when you swim against the tide and it's for good, then sometimes, you're a hero. Or you swim against the tide and you're a zero. And I think the latter applies to Gary Gensler. He's really digging it. They say the first rule of holes when you're in one, stop digging. Well, he's halfway down to the core. I don't know. He's digging so much that karma is a ridiculous, what they say is karma is a bitch, Jeff. And you know what's so funny about this? If they start looking in his past and some of his transgressions, he was the CFO for Hillary Clinton's campaign. And as the CEO, it came out in the Durham trial through Robbie Mook, the guy that used to run the campaign for Hillary Clinton. It was in court under oath that the campaign was responsible for the Alpha Bank hoax, right? So this is the one that they said there was a server, Trump Towers, and it was communicating with Russia and all that stuff. Well, were there any payments made for that, Jeff? Just out of curiosity, were any payments made to anybody during that time? We also know that that same campaign was responsible for a dossier, which was later debunked. And I'm just curious, Jeff, as the bagman and chief financial officer, was Gary Gensler the guy making the payments? Because if he was, that's massive fraud right there. So I think we need to investigate that. I think we need to pull some FOIA requests on that. I need to see what kind of payments were made and see who made the payments. Because I think Gary Gensler, there's a lot of culpability here. And I think we need to start digging into his past, because I think the guy is an absolute fool. I think the guy is an absolute criminal, what he's doing right now. And this is a person that not only dislikes the United States, but hates it with a passion, because he wants to be the cop on the beat. And when you see his smug face on the video we showed today, Jeff, when you see his video, there it is right there. Yeah. Well, I have it right here.
Video. This is a different video. This is him cracking down on Kraken.
Yeah, that's the video.
Oh, is this the one? The Kraken crackdown?
Well, no, this is it right here.
Gensler, it's great to see you this morning.
And this is another guy who's complicit in the thing. This is what you have.
Crackdown.
Yeah, well, I'm actually have the video. That's the webpage. So I want to show you the actual video itself. So Gensler, let's put this on. And this is Andrew Sorkin, and this guy right here. And thank God John Deaton has called this D-bag out so many times. This guy right here is probably one of the dumbest people on TV. Okay, the guy works at the rival network, CNBC, competitor to Fox Business. John Deaton has just criticized this guy so many times on point, Jeff, for just for the questions he asks and the complicity and everything else. It's insane.
Well, I mean, look at what we've got. sitting there in that studio. Look what a smug piece of garbage
Thank you, Jeff.
Gary Gensler is. If you look at his eyes, look at his face, listen to the words that come out of his mouth, the content, the he's so antagonistic and spiteful and hateful to everything that's going on, and the sham of all of this. And just remember one thing, as we had mentioned this right from the beginning, when Gary Gensler came out and they started talking about him being chair, so many people in the crypto space were big fanboys of Gary Gensler. Why? Because he taught at MIT and taught cryptocurrency and referenced XRP and some of the other digital assets in his time at MIT. But this guy, he is not your friend. Obviously, he wasn't your friend then. He's not your friend now. He doesn't have any of your best interests in mind. He was put in that position for a purpose. This administration that we're in front of right now is anything but pro crypto. They're anti crypto. So just keep that in mind when you go to the voting booth and you send your donation checks to your politicians. When they are against the vehicle that you invest in, they're against your future. That's it. So you have to pick and choose. This guy was appointed. He was not elected. And Chip, we're not done talking about this guy, but this guy's term in his tenure with the SEC should be wrapping up in due time.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, Tom Emmer too talk about it a little bit. And, we also see Warren Davidson saying, unfortunately, Congress does move slow. A lot of that's by design. You don't want to push things through too fast. You want it to be, you want to have a lot of dialogue. You want to have pushback about it. And I know there's a lot of frustration around the space. I mean, obviously, we're absolutely frustrated. There's no doubt about it. Jeff and I are both riled up, trying to keep it calm. We were going off before the show. We're just like, hey, we're just going to keep it a little bit calm today. We're not trying to go too crazy. But when you analyze this from a perspective of what fosters innovation, now you can only imagine at different parts throughout history in whatever country you're living in right now, what if that innovation, like the internet, was destroyed? What if, a lot of these things, instead of fostering it and trying to figure out, hey, let's let it roll, let's try to figure out. That's what they did in the 90s, where when you had a Democrat president, you had a Republican Congress, they try, hey, let's just let it roll, let's let it go. And let's figure it out later. Let's not try to tax it. Let's not try to suppress it. But here we have something where I'm always a little leery of people who are trying to tell you they're here to help you. And they start talking about the isms, the fascism, the communism, all these isms that they accuse everybody else of. But then you find like, hey, this is weird. Look at what you guys are absolutely doing here. So it's a little bit odd, Jeff, to see what is actually happening. But you know what? As we say, karma's a bitch. And this Ripple win that's coming is going to be phenomenal in a lot of ways, because it's going to put Mr. Gary Gensler in his place. But he doesn't finish he doesn't last. I don't think he makes it out of 2023. I mean, these hearings are going to be brutal. Go ahead and throw that up there, Jeff.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, I was going to say the hearings are going to be brutal. And they're not going to be in there asking softball questions, blowing him kisses. They're going to be, and I think we need to do some FOIA requests. That's what I think. I think we need to dig deep on someone. You want to start digging in the crypto industry? It's time to start digging on Gary Gensler, because this guy, I bet you, let's just not, I'm not going to accuse anybody, but let's dig to see what's behind the guy, the man, the actions of all that he's going after. And who's actually behind all this? Who's the puppeteer? Is it Gensler? Is he the one? Or is he taking direction from somebody else? We need to do digging.
I believe he's taking direction from somebody else. There's the powers that be that want to undermine this new asset class. It's all a game. It's all a power struggle. They are losing power. They're losing control of the one thing that they have, which is the control, ebb and flow of money. And that goes pretty deep. Thomas Brennan, appreciate your support there. If there was a cool graphic that went along with that, unfortunately, StreamYard needs to get their act together and pull in the cool little graphics that go with that. But appreciate you on that one. And here's another one from James Rule, sending a few XRP guys. Cheers.
Hey, Rule, great to see you, man. We had a Jeff
589.
We had a great conversation with James the other day, and we talk pretty regularly. So it's I mean, I'm glad to see you taking a break, and just like sometimes it's good to what do you call it? Decouple yourself, right? Decouple yourself for a little while and kind of just really focus on family and things in life that are important. And that's why, the support helps so much here to keep the channel, because believe it or not, we do have Jeff and I do what we can because we love doing this stream, and we love it, and it's something fun for us to do. But it's really you guys that make it worthwhile. It's the comments you guys drop on the videos. It's that all of those things you guys take the time out of your busy days to do is what makes it really worth it for Jeff and I. I mean, it's like that little boost of energy. And the negative comments are funny. Most of them make us laugh. And you guys are, you're there to voice your opinions. You like something, you didn't like something, just let us know. Drop a comment or drop it in the chat. So it's a way you guys communicate with us.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And let me go through a couple of these additional viewer comments here as well. So one here from Joey: will the SEC go after PolySign? And I say yes. It all depends on, again, there's so much hinging on this court case with Ripple. We saw actually a bad but positive outcome with Library. That there was a ruling on the sales on the secondary market not being securities. That needed to happen in preparation for, I believe anyhow, the ruling on Ripple, and so on the SEC v Ripple. So I think we're going to see things stack up.
Yep.
In the interim. One thing that you'll see certain political elites doing, I don't even want to call them elites, but people within the political echelon, one of the things that they do when they have unchecked power is that they'll pass certain things, or they'll do things that they know is either unconstitutional, let's call it illegal, let's say, because it's in opposition of the law. And so they'll do things that end up in court, because when it goes to court, they say, hey, that you weren't really allowed to do what you did. And this is exactly why Gary Gensler has to be dragged in front of Congress, and it needs to be under oath. And then he needs to be dragged really in front of some sort of a hearing because we need to find, his transgressions that he's committed. And we've seen this administration, other people within this administration and previous administrations that have transgressed on constitutional. I don't want to go too deep in this, but
Jeff, it's hard not to. But I know where you want to go with that.
Yeah. So will they go after PolySign if left unchecked? Yes. They just went after Kraken. So Chip, I went too far on that one. But Jim D
went far enough, but that's just me.
Right. Jim D, hey, good morning. Gensler is working for the whole corrupt Congress and has a mandate to keep the Wall Street and banker cartel going. It's the wellspring of political donations.
It absolutely is. And Jeff, can I just I want to bring this in really quick, because I want to reference that last comment right there, because will they go after PolySign? This is an interesting article here. So JP Morgan, thank you, Joey, for that. He says, so JP Morgan estimates that Ethereum's Shanghai upgrade might bring more investors to stake in the protocol. Wait a minute, Jeff. But we just heard, but we just heard that staking is bad because Kraken just got hit. And I want Gary Gensler to cite exactly which law that Kraken violated, because there are no law in the books against staking. There are no law against yield farming. There's zero law. There's zero clarity around that. So you're making these decisions for enforcement, that regulation by enforcement principle, regulation by litigation is really what they're doing, and making up imaginary things and then busting people. And what is Kraken to do? I mean, what is Kraken going to do? They either settle or they go through a lengthy court battle and they settle at $30 million and get out of it. This is called a shakedown, Jeff. And when we take a look at this one, it says that a recent report by JP Morgan has revealed the upcoming Shanghai upgrade slated to be applied in March. So we're talking about really a couple of weeks. Will bring more capital to the network, because they think that the stake percentage, the number of other popular proof of stake networks have more than 4 times the Ether currently staked. And here's the pull quote: assuming that staking converges over time, the 60% average on other large networks, the number of validators could increase from 0.5 million to 2.2 million, and the annual yield in ETH would fall from 7.4% today to around 5% today. So 14% of the issuance of ETH is currently staked, cannot be withdrawn from Shanghai update until finally applied. So Jeff, what happens to the people that buy into this and say, great, ETH apparently got a free pass, so we're going to go ahead and stake. And here it says right here that it cannot be withdrawn. So what happens to the people, the investors that are supposed to be protected by the SEC, that actually go forth and stake their ETH, right? And what's going to happen to them? I mean, what's going to happen to this? They also mentioned protocols like Solana and Cardano, where there's 70% of their issuance is staked. So what happens to the people staking? Are they going to lose everything?
So let's pretend that we worked for the SEC and we happen to sit. Let's pretend that we are commissioners on the SEC or just happen to be the chair of the SEC. You know what your comment would be? I don't care. We don't care.
So what? Yeah,
so
we don't
we don't
regulate
care.
securities.
Right. We regulate security. We don't care about what happens to the investors, because at the end of the day, although it's in the mission statement that is on the website to protect investors, we really don't care because there's always going to be collateral damage. And so so this is the mindset, and when you keep looking at this guy, you look at him, the smugness, the attitude, he does not care. I can't wait to, we put that up, but he just does not care. And I have a lot of concern, because now you have, Hester Peirce has also come out with some statements, and I think we have an article, or we have something covering that as well. There's something rotten, but there's a bigger battle being waged right now that we've referenced, and it goes well outside of what happens, within the halls of Congress, outside the halls of government entirely, and it's more global in nature. There's this struggle that's been going on back and forth. Again, it's a power struggle. So the question is, who's winning at this point? I don't, they've got Gary Gensler in there. And then the crazy thing about all of this, Chip, is that everything that's happening is impacting us here in the US to undermine our ability to better ourselves. They've done this multiple times over the years. They always are looking for that opportunity to put the people back in their place, to make them subservient to the government. And this is where we have a major crisis and a major issue, because the power needs to be in the hands of the people. Money needs to be in the hands of the people. And that is where, we go to with the decentralized, financial infrastructure. Chip, not from an anarchy perspective. We want power in the hands of the people. We need to be able to control our own outcomes, our own destinies. The overtaxation and the overzealousness of individuals that are appointed, not elected, is just too far. This nonsense has to end. Large government has to come to an end. We need limited government. We need a fair tax system where there is no more overburdening taxation and overburdening regulations that just don't make any sense, Chip. It's getting way out of control. Right. So Vincent Scully said 20,000 copies of Die Hard with a Vengeance will be life-changing. Vincent Wilson Scully. So there you go.
That's awesome. I love the comments, Jeff. They're the greatest ever, man. And I just love the way people think in here, because it's that freedom, right? It's that essence of like that decentralization is a threat, man. It's a threat to the banking cartel. It's a threat to everybody. But you know what? You really learn how to coexist, because it never ends well. Yeah, you think you're winning for a little bit of time, but you know what? The problem is you have to be on the side of the people. And then when you lost the people, when you that threshold of 50-60%, when that cascades the other way and it's against you, it could be a long game you're trying to play, but it just ends for them in a bad way. There was a tweet, and this drives me crazy when I can't find stuff like this, but hang on a second. My dog is actually extra crazy today, Jeff. He's like jumping on me. Can't see him, but he's jumping on me under the table. So
no, Julius is passed out on the lighting over here.
I wish he was passed out. There was a really good tweet. I hate when you have a tweet up on your when you have a good tweet going, you have it up on your screen, and then you lose it and you can't find it. It drives me insane.
While you're looking for that, Becky Forbes brings up a good point. Imagine how crypto could thrive under leadership with someone like Brian Brooks. So could you guys imagine if we had an SEC chair that actually had some passion and actually cared about the outcome of crypto? If you put someone in place like a Brian Brooks, imagine, if we could actually see some clarity coming through the House right now. Imagine if we could see, French Hill with his subcommittee actually within the Financial Services Committee actually doing something that provides good outcome. Imagine if they do drag, and they will, when they drag Gary Gensler in front of Congress and they question him, and all of this, comes out, and the investigation has to go so much deeper, as Chip had mentioned. And I do believe that we need to look back into his financial records. I do believe that we have to look at his relationship with previous administrations or previous campaigns that he's worked on. I think there's so much more to it. Somebody else is pulling the strings, and we need to find out. We can't continue down this path. We definitely have to find out more. The people deserve to hear what's actually happening, and that's the truth, and that's it. One Rough Rican super sticker, appreciate that. One Rough Rican. And here you go, Chip, Robin, RN, Jeff. It's a preach. Give him enough time, and he'll have all of the Fed on XRP side. Man, we need that. I'll tell you what.
Let's go ahead and watch this video, Jeff. I mean, let's see how much we can get through it. I know it's nauseating, but we have to kind of get through it to see if see what this guy's going to say. But here we go.
To see you this morning. There's a phrase online where they say, "Tell it to me like I'm 5." So for those who are uninitiated into what happened here, tell it to me like I'm 5. What was Kraken doing, and what was the problem that you were trying to solve?
Andrew, what Kraken was doing was asking the American public for their coins, crypto tokens, and saying, I'll give you a return, 4% to 21% returns. And the problem was they were not disclosing to the investing public the risk that the investing public was entering into. And we have a basic bargain in the United States since the 1930s. You can take whatever risk you want. Companies like Kraken can offer investment contracts and investment schemes, but they have to have full, fair, and truthful disclosure. And this puts the investors who watch your program in a better position. That's our basic bargain. They were not complying with that basic law.
So how does this, though, differ, for example, from some of the other firms out there, including Coinbase, who offer yield products?
Whether you call it, the labels don't matter. Long ago, Supreme Court Justice Marshall said this so eloquently. It's not about the labels. It's about the underlying economics. And
No, it's not.
This really should put everyone on notice in this marketplace. Whether you call it lend, whether you call it earn, whether you call it yield, whether you offer what's called an annual percentage yield, APY, that doesn't matter. If somebody's taking their tokens and transferring it to that platform, the platform controls it. And guess what happens if they go bankrupt? You stand in line at the bankruptcy court.
Good job on FTX there, Gary.
That says, not your keys, not your coins. So those other platforms
I agree with him on
should
that.
take note of this.
Got to agree with him on that point.
Seek to come into compliance, do the proper disclosures and registration and the like.
That doesn't
Okay,
exist.
but here's one of the big issues, as I think you know,
Hey, pause
which
it
is
for 1 second, Chip.
this
So
staking service is going to no longer be available
Sorry.
to customers in the U.S. But interestingly,
see if you can pause it. There we go.
I don't know what happened to it.
So Chip, yeah, that was really bizarre, and it kept playing in the background.
Yeah, it was weird.
So he brings up a really interesting point there, and I don't mean to break it up in the middle, but we have to reference this. You got to give him credit for something positive that he's saying, with all the bad and everything. Not your keys, not your crypto. And so, what is his primary concern? Now, I have this concern as well, especially considering that I have some asset that was tied up on Celsius that I have no access to, and I'm sure there's lots of other people that have put assets over on Celsius, or there's a lot of people that had assets over with FTX. There's others that have had assets with other exchanges. So herein lies a major problem. We look at, hey, do we want to play the game and take the risk? And I said for a long time, I won't take the risk. It's earning these small percentages of interest, and taking the risk of losing your digital asset isn't worth it. So he brings up a really solid point. So now what he was referencing, and we'd have to dig into this more because I believe that there's a lot more. He's trying to pull out the positive, and we still are going to go with his attitude of dismantling the crypto industry. So he's going to try to wrap it, nicely with a little bow on it and say that he's out there protecting us because of this fact. We put our asset over there. But I agree with him on that fact 100%. We put our assets over in the exchange. They go bankrupt. We have no, there's very limited resources for us to go after them and try to get those assets back. And I don't understand. I mean, I do, because, I guess in certain scenarios, they're taking your asset and they're going and lending it out on, whether it's going to institution or, they're finding a solution for it. So they're earning, higher yield on it because of the lending side of it. So they're able to pay out percentages on, on the staking side. But what happens again, Chip, what happens when a platform is tied up in a bankruptcy, or, they lock you out of your asset? There has to be a mechanism to where you can get that asset back, and there's no protection. But there's also no, Gary Gensler brought up after that, which I would disagree with. He's saying people need to come in and register. What are they registering for? There's no clarity. If you want to register as an exchange, but we're talking about digital asset, they're although the laws are, going to be the same, but the rules are going to be a little different when it comes to cryptocurrency. And we have no regulatory clarity at this point on cryptocurrency, although he says there is. Chip, what are your thoughts on all of that?
Well, I think the demise of Gary Gensler is imminent, and I think it's people have had enough, right? So here's the problem I have with the way he approached this. He's like, there's no disclosures. There's no disclosures. All right. So why don't you reach out to him and say, hey, there's no disclosures. Why don't you put a disclosure in place? Pretty
Right.
simple, right? Hey, guys, you're missing the disclosure. This is a warning. We're going to issue a Wells notice if you don't get it worked out. We'll work with you to make sure you have the right language in place so that you can protect the investor. No, he goes in, guns a-blazing, and he's going to shut him down. Meanwhile, ETH, they're talking about staking. This is the whole problem I have with this guy. He's a nut.
Staggering.
And then he goes on bloviating on CNBC, which is nonsense. Well, I mean, we're trying to protect the investor and the this and that. No, listen, Gensler. No, nobody. And then he masqueraded. So we all know that MIT move was a ploy just to be. It was everything he does is absolutely strategic, right? He went to MIT to say, look, I'm teaching digital assets. I'm an expert. So he could pine for this type of job. Now he's going for Treasury. Gensler formerly worked in the Treasury in the Clinton administration in the Treasury Department. Now he's pining for that next big gig. Everything he does is strategic. Came from a big bank. Which one was it? Was it which one it was? Was it JP Morgan? No, it was the other one. It was Goldman Sachs, former Goldman Sachs guy. 120 worth 120 million. You're worth 120 million. Let me ask everybody who's listening. You're worth 120 million. Is your next move to go out there and destroy innovation in the United States and consequently ruin it for a lot of others in the world? Is your mindset, or are you pining for something else? You doing something strategic, or do you enjoy the power of it? Because the day-to-day nonsense, I don't think anybody cares about, especially when you're working for a regulator or a government entity. Yeah, you want to go build your own thing? Cool. I have 120 million in the bank. Let me go risk 1 or 2 million and try to build something in the XRPL or something that will advance human civilization. But no, not Gary Gensler. Gensler has to pine for an opportunity to get to that next level. It's pathetic, Jeff.
Pathetic. I like that. Now we have some more comments here, but we'll get back to that video. I just want to throw this one up because this will be the next comment we get to. There's a lot of other commentary on this, but we've got Michael Murphy. Don't bank stake your dollars. James Rule, how much do the banks give to the SEC? A lot of good questions here. The banks loan our money out at higher interest rates. All true. Becky Forbes, how is Coinbase getting away with not giving XRP holders their Songbird?
I'll tell you. Wait, I want to weigh in on that. Put that back up.
Well, we have a couple questions on that point, but I'll bring this one up.
Yeah, let me put that up there, Becky. Here's why: because the original agreement that Coinbase had with when they agreed to with Flare to do the Flare drop, they agreed to do the Flare drop. That's what they agreed to. They did not agree to Songbird. So halfway through, Flare changed the rules up and said, hey, we're going to do a test net and we're going to release something called Songbird. Guess what? The exchanges didn't agree to that. And there's dev, I can understand it, like it might maybe unpopular opinion, but from a standpoint of resources and the developer time, it's a lot of time and you can't attribute any money coming into that. So it's a loss, right? You hope that people will buy stuff, but since they can't buy XRP, it's a double loss. So that's my point. Now Flare is a different story, but most of the exchanges, none of them agreed to Songbird because none of them knew about it. Go ahead, Jeff. My thoughts.
So we got this one from M. This morning on my Apple Watch, XRP was priced at $123.45. The second time I see this bug when I tried to unlock the watch and went back to the current price.
That's because you did a dumb Apple Watch. Why get rid of that garbage? Just kidding, Jeff.
An Apple Watch. Those damn apples.
Stupid apples. No, I'm
Apple Watch.
Kidding, of course. I love Apple. But
all right, now here's the big one to unpack. So Mark T, what are your thoughts on wrapped Flare delegation? Should that also be considered staking? And that's an interesting point too, because here we are wrapping Flare, wrapping Songbird, wrapping all these other things and earning a delegation.
Yeah, here's the difference though. Here's when you wrap, you still have custody of it, right? You're not giving up custody. If you are doing it on the Bifrost wallet, it's still in your possession. You're wrapping it and it's kind of like almost like a leasing type of thing. So, and maybe I'll get the nomenclature not perfectly correct, but the point is it's still on Bifrost. It's still in your possession, where when you do a staking, what Jeff referred to before was you're actually putting it on a centralized exchange where you don't have any control over it. The wrapping is for the FITSO to make sure that it's timely and it's accurate. And because the ones that are more timely and accurate are given rewards, and that's what you are basically delegating your Flare to do. Now, did I say that eloquently or perfect? Probably not. I'm sure someone like Flare community will come in and say, Chip, you got that part of it wrong. Bottom line is that it's still in your possession. Jeff, where am I going wrong on this? Is this?
No, I kind of like that, but I believe they're going to come after that too. They're going to come after, at the end of the day, Gary Gensler's objective and the powers that be that control his narrative, their objective is to undermine individual opportunity to earn revenue outside of them being able to tap into them also earning revenue. So when you move over to this decentralized system, you're cutting out all of the infrastructure that has all the power brokers at the head of that infrastructure making money. So now here we have a very interesting crossroads that we're coming to right now, and it's going to be, the next few months are going to be very telling as to the direction that we move in. And actually, Chip and I have been working on 2 different ebooks. We're going to be dropping the first ebook hopefully soon. Hopefully this week. It's going to be a kind of a beginner's guide to cryptocurrency, and then we have another one following up, kind of a little more easy read on that. And then we're going to package that into another topic that's interesting that we've been working on. It's the intersect of AI, cryptocurrencies, and the NFTs. And the reason why I bring that up right now is because of the fact that AI is also removing certain power brokers' control over the flow of information. So if you guys have had access to Chat GPT, and you see that, and although the data is 2 years old that it's pulling from, And so that could be their control mechanism. Say, if you want current information, well, you're not going to get it. However, if you see the power of AI, the speed at which it delivers information is putting Google in its place right now. And we see, Google kind of missteps, tripping over themselves. At the same time, there's a lot of other elements within our everyday kind of workflow that AI is going to potentially remove a lot of jobs. And so there's going to be a struggle here to see the direction that AI moves over the next few months, to see if they put a cap on it, because there's definitely a mechanism here to help better your daily lives working with AI, to simplify a lot of the mundane tasks and help improve and move on, and better your performance based in the way you implement it. Now, cryptocurrency is the exact same, solution, but for your financial outcome, right? So both of them impacting, but obviously with crypto, we're taking control over ourselves. We're able to move away from the centralized mechanism of control over the ebb and flow of information and the centralized control over the ebb and flow of money. And so this is a threat to, again, to the power brokers. But Chip, I think we're at such a vital crossroads right now. I want to see from a financial perspective, this isn't, we're not in some utopian dream like with Bitcoin, where they thought, Bitcoin would come out and they're going to close all the banks all of a sudden. We're talking about putting your opportunity of earning into your hands. I'm not trying to undermine all banks, because I believe that banks need to exist, because the 98% of the people out there, Chip, don't want to take risk. They need an easy to use solution, a plug and play solution. I want to invest in crypto, but I want to be protected. I don't want to take the risk, like Gary Gensler was saying before, that you put it on an exchange and you lose your asset. Nobody wants to be put in that position. We want an easy flow, and nobody cares about the technology that's being used. But again,
Right.
we also want that liberty back. We want the free control, but that, Chip, I don't know, man. We're at a crossroads, and the powers are going to butt heads, and it's going to happen soon. I truly believe it has to happen over the next few months. We're going to see the outcome, and we're not going to see the final outcome, but we're going to see the direction these things start moving in.
Right.
So for crypto, last word on this, and I'll let you, say everything, but crypto outcome is going to be, through Congress, where we have to see some bills presented on the House floor. We have to see the FSC, the Financial Services Committee, do something fast. It has to happen within the next couple months. And then we have to see the direction that AI is moving in, and we have to see Gary Gensler removed, and we have to see an outcome with the Ripple case. That's a lot of stuff.
Jeff, that was a
but
lot.
We're going to start seeing. So, Chip, your turn.
Well, I want to go back to something you said that I gotta say, it's once in a while, maybe in a decade, once every decade, when something that really impressed me the past month. I mean, maybe the past 6 weeks. And this is unusual for me to say this. And if you guys know me, I was never a big fan of this company, but I have to admit, when I see a move so bold and so incredibly well strategized, and that's just a made up word, but Satya Nadella, what is his name? Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, just did the biggest power move I have ever seen in some time. So he just throat punched Google big time. What did he do? So he took a giant stake in ChatGPT, right?
That was big.
Blocked Google out. Then as soon as they announced, so this is so amazing. So he was recently on stage, and then Google went and Google has a lot of pressure by their investors, by the board, like, hey, where's your AI? Because ChatGPT and largely a lot of the machine learning, the NPL that's come out of that was largely started and invented by Google. People took it to the next level. This is what happens with companies when they're poorly run. When you remove leadership and thought leadership from the company, and it's just a big, blob of like, let's do the same thing we've already done, and you've lost that innovation game, which is what happened at Microsoft for a long time before Nadella came in and took over and made it profitable and started making moves that were strategic and made sense. What he did was he not only did he take a giant stake in it, but they're also taking the Chat GPT, because there was GPT-3 that was around for the past 2 years, and there was a lot of applications leveraging. You could tie in an API if you're a developer, and you could do that. And I use programs that leverage this technology. But on November 30th, when they rolled out Chat GPT, was the fastest software to ever reach 1 million users in 5 days. It's never happened before. I think the next best record was 35 or 40. I forgot what it was, Instagram or something like that. Bottom line is that, so when he came in and he saw this, they're already taking the next level version of Chat GPT that goes beyond 2021 and incorporating it into their technology. The Bing is one of them, but there's probably going to be a Bing upgrade where you can ask any question and you can get the new version of it. And this is a massive. You're taking down the giant and Microsoft. And so what does that mean? Well, that means that all of the power and control that something like Google has, as far as the algorithms are concerned, as far as how they do stuff, as far as how they rate and move around stuff, has just been challenged. But it's not Microsoft that's doing it. It's AI. And this is what, Jeff, I think your point is that it's upsetting. It's the next balance, that the next wave of disruption. We always talk about disruptors in the space. This is going to disrupt it massively. The amount of AI tools that are coming out is mind-blowing. I don't think there's ever been an explosion like this. Just in the past 3 weeks alone, the amount of tools that are coming out. And there's sites out there that list them all. I'm a big fan of it. Jeff and I are both fans of AI because it still takes tweaking and everything. But my point is that when we talk about decentralization and the freedom that it brings, AI is that next level, but AI is kind of a hybrid of that, right? Because it's programmed by somebody and it learns by somebody. And people have been able to hack ChatGPT. They've been able to hack it, find a way in and get different results. But largely it's programmed to act a certain way. So we talked about the dangers of that. But I think ultimately, Jeff, as we go down this road, I wanted to just throw this one tweet up. It's been here. Jeremy Hogan had a great tweet. He said, Kraken offers up to 20% on stake tokens. Bank of America offers 0.0001% and a paperclip. Of course the SEC would shut it down. Right. So
that's a great point, Chip. And what you just said regarding AI is both awe-inspiring and terrifying all at the same time.
Right.
So through using the AI platform, I am terrified by the fact that it is burying and changing your outcome based on the way it was programmed. So if I put something in, and we referenced it the other day, I was trying to play around with YouTube names for, or whatever. What am I titles for the YouTube video?
Right. Yeah.
And it took out and changed, and it wouldn't help me with it because it had a certain outcome object but it does more than that, because I even was writing something for a presentation that I was giving, an intro the other day, and I put it in. It was political, and it changed how I wrote it to have a completely different statement. It just buried it, and it had to do with the State of the Union and all of this, and it was just the way I phrased it. It changed it, and I didn't like that outcome. I don't like that fact, but obviously, I'm not going to rely on it. It was interesting to see how it helped kind of formulate certain ideas. You have to, and this is where, the tool of AI is not going to be the end all be all, because you can use the tool to help supplement what you're doing to help, kind of speed up your process a little bit, but you don't want to rely on it. The terrifying part is that the outcome, people could end up relying on the outcome of AI in this direction that we're moving in, to unseat, in this battle, man, I don't know, man. I'm really, I'm both, again, I'm awe-inspired and worried all at the same time. As the same with if we do a counterbalance between cryptocurrency and digital currency, right? We're awe-inspired by cryptocurrency, terrified by the notion of digital currency. So before we put up the video, let me just throw up this one and then we can go back to that one. But Mr. Q said the government's not afraid of crypto. They'll use it at their time. The whole thing is a show. At the end of the day, they don't need any money. They can print it out of thin air, which we know happens on a regular basis because the money's not backed by anything. Mr. Q, when money becomes digital, it will be even easier for the government to print more with a push of a button.
Push a button now. There's no,
right,
there's
push
no, there's no cash generated.
There's not, yeah. The concern there though is it goes digital. Now they don't just print it, but now they control how you use it.
Right.
Right. And so there's the counterbalance right there is, so you have the cryptocurrency side that keeps the hands in the power in the hands of the people through a decentralized framework, and the centralized aspect that is even more overburdensome to the people. But let's go back to this one.
Let's listen to
all long-winded, Chip.
This is, well, that's what we do here, Jeff, on the chain. We just don't have enough time to get into like 90% of the stories. But anyway, this is going to
become a once a week, 3 hour show.
Interestingly, they're going to still offer the same product internationally, abroad, outside of the United States. And so it raises this larger policy question as to whether crypto, these types of products just move offshore. Maybe that's what you want and that's a good thing. But then whether what you do about the American citizens.
It's so funny. Did you see his face change when he said that? It moves offshore. Yeah. In other words, you're a douchebag, Gary Gensler.
Who's then using VPNs and all sorts of other things to skirt around what's happening here.
Look, we're technology neutral at the SEC, but we're clearly very focused on investor protection. 330 million Americans are our clients. These firms, Kraken knew how to register. Others know how to register. It's just a form on our website. They can come in, talk to our talented people and disclosure review teams. And if they want to offer staking, we're neutral. Come in, register, because investors need that disclosure.
All right, it's enough of that shit. But here we go right here. Here's Jesse Powell. He's now the chairman. He's the founder of Kraken. He says, oh, man, all I had to do was fill out a form on a website and tell people that staking rewards come from staking. God, I wish I'd seen this video before paying a $30 million fine and agreeing to permanently shut down the service in the U.S. How dumb do I look? Gosh. I mean, Jeff, this is where we're at right now. Come in, talk to us, fill out a form on a website. It's just, listen, this guy's out of control. There is, I mean, this whole thing about disclosures. Well, show me where it talks about staking in any law. Tell me where it talks about yield farming. Please, I want to see it because I want to know what you're referencing about how they should have a disclosure about something that doesn't exist as a law, as a guideline. You're making this up out of speaking of thin air. This enforcement by litigation is absolutely mind-blowing. Congress needs to act fast. They need to stop messing around. This needs to become a priority because you can't let people like Gary Gensler, an unchecked regulator, continue on his terror spree of so-called protecting us investors.
That's a good one. I like that. He's a financial terrorist.
Would
you say a terror spree? Man, so this guy, man, you look at him with such a straight face, he lies. Right. But we just saw that in the State of the Union. We saw how easy it is for someone to get up there and speak and just lie outright without just pure.
Well, the best parts of that
speech, knowing. And here he is again, this guy, he just lied about just come on in. Thank God, Jesse Powell just doesn't, he's not going to stay quiet. Spent $30 million. It was so easy just to fill out a form and just fill it on the website, and that's it. So, Chip, but here's the point. You brought up such an amazing point before. If it was just a matter of registering and a disclosure, why doesn't someone from the SEC pick up the phone to Kraken and say, hey, we're on your side. We want you guys to be compliant. We notice that you don't have, you didn't come in and register on the website. Here I'm sending you a link to I can do it with you over the phone. It's easy because I'm just going to help you register over the website. And then we're going to give you an example of a disclosure that you need to post on your for your investors when they come in. Just put it there, this disclosure statement, and that's it. It's all bullshit. So this is the smoke and mirrors that he's coming out pretending that he's on the side of the investors, because, and this is the little ribbon that he's wrapping while he's lying the entire time. It's crazy. Just absolutely crazy that he's being interviewed by a professional, someone that's paid, so-called professional, being paid to interview and report. And the guy's just, well, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm just going to let you have the word. I'm just going to let you talk. I'm not going to call you out on the fictitious statements that you're making, because I didn't even do my own due diligence that I'm getting paid for. I never reached out to Kraken to get their statement. I never tried to look into it any further.
There was a tweet by
douchebaggery.
Yeah, big time. Jeff, there was a tweet that I couldn't find by Charles Gasparino that talked about how people inside the SEC were pretty disturbed by the fact that when that Kim Kardashian, within minutes of it being announced, his mug was on TV talking about the crackdown and blah, blah. Again, just sort of his old mouthpiece saying how great he is. And the same thing happened with this Kraken case. He floated it to CNBC and said, hey, why does he go on CNBC and not Fox Business? It's pretty obvious, right? So one of them leans to the left, the other one leans to the right, and you're not going to get asked serious questions on the left. You're going to know what the questions are ahead of time, right? Right, Pocahontas? Right, Elizabeth Warren? Right, that's exactly what we're going to get, right? Get the questions ahead of time, all softball. And then I'm going to float one in there about, don't you want everything going offshore so I can make the mean face? It's just ridiculous, Jeff. And look at this right here. I want to show this right here. Becky says, that he's a financial, Gensler's a financial extortionist. James Rule, best comment, says Gensler is as useless as a one-toothed beaver in a petrified forest. Well done. Touche, James Rule. Yep. Love that. Love that.
So Chip, we're kind of coming up on the time that I got to start wrapping. It's crazy how fast it went, but I just, we are working to put together a special event for members of On the Chain, both from the website and over here on YouTube. And then we're also working on, and we've referenced this NFT project that we're working on. We are not yet ready to roll anything out on that, but we will.
We'll be rolling out a preview tomorrow.
We'll be rolling out some cool stuff. But we're also going to we're going to post some cool Twitter banners, and there's gonna be a lot of other cool things that are going to come out here in the near future that we're working on. So we got tons of stuff, Chip, that are in the works with the ebook and the NFT project. I'm really excited about it. And you guys will be all able to sample a little bit of what we've been working on, and it's exciting. And Sophie has it right. Sophie has it right. Great show. Great people. Like and subscribe. When Moon. That's the question, Chip. When Moon. See you all on the next one. Chip, we have the best and the brightest in all of crypto space right here on the chain.
Yeah, we do. So as Mr. Q says, bring back blockchain backer next weekend. Yeah, sure. We'll get right on that. I'm sure he does like to come on the show. We do respect his time and everything else. But anyway, I just will say that the NFT project is coming along. I know a lot of people have inquired about it, reached out to us, have asked us about it. And again, it's something fun we've been working on. And again, the ebooks, we'll talk a little bit of how that works. It's not like a paid thing. It's just free. It's going to be free. Yeah. Just go ahead and register on, so we can send it to you. Just come to our site and register. Say register is a bad word, but just sign up. Listen, guys, we're into privacy. We don't share lists. We don't do any of that stuff. You're only going to get stuff from us. If it's too infrequent, you just unsubscribe. That's how simple it works around here. But also excited about this NFT project and some other things we have in the works, and the Twitter banners. Like a lot of people are saying, hey, your OTC family, maybe you want to proudly display that on your Twitter. So we'll put together some cool on the chain banners to talk about, maybe that's another way to help promote the channel. People will check out your profile and like, oh, what's this on the chain? You can put that in your bio, whatever, that you are official OTC family. And it's another way to kind of help promote the channel. Again, the best way to promote us is to share us with your family, friends, and your enemies, because eventually they'll come around. Maybe. So Potentially, right? It's like, hey man, go buy XRP. Like, I hate you. And they're like, well, let me check in this XRP thing. Wait a minute, it's $3.50. What happened? The lawsuit's over. What's $4, $5, $6? All right. But that's all we have. We got to run. Jeff's got to roll. We got other things to jump onto. Guys, have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. And of course, it's the following morning if you're over in Asia there. And we will see you on the next one. Chip and Jeff out. See you
Thank
guys.
you, and good night.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.